Yeah, exactly. What are you doing jumping over it?
Try telling people it's
Yeah, that's right. And the dude was going, oh, this is way too difficult. There's no save points. And I'm going, you bloody well just jumped over it. What are you doing?
This is the Rising High Extended Tea Break, the game dev podcast bringing you the best practical, actionable advice for indie game developers. Brought to you by RisingHighAcademy.com. The kettle's on, so let's go listen in.
Hey there, Kevin here. Welcome to the Rising High Extended Tea Break. This is episode 6, and I am joined with Gilly today. Hello, Gilly.
Hello, how are you?
I'm very well. Thanks very much for asking. How are you doing today?
It's all right. I'm all right.
Okay, cool. So what are we going to chat about today?
Well, we thought we'd put together our top list of mistakes that we see quite a lot with new game developers.
Yeah.
Mistakes we've made in the past.
Sure.
Everyone makes them. And we've come up with a top 16.
Top 16, that's a nice round number.
It is, isn't it? It did start off at 5 and grew to 10. And then,
we did sort of keep adding to it. And no doubt we will either cull some of these or perhaps even add more as we go on. But let's see how that rolls. So I'll tell you what, let's just dive straight in as always. And let's start with number 1.
Number 1, cloning existing games way too closely.
Yeah, we see this a fair amount. Now, this is where you will be inspired by top games at any given moment of time.
Geometry Dash is a classic.
Yeah, that's a classic. Yeah. Flappy Bird, obviously. Yeah. But this is where you take the popular game and you don't change anything.
Yeah,
and you literally clone the game, which is really a dumb idea.
Well, I don't know. I think it's okay if you're just starting out. I think it's okay to clone something to see if you can actually do it, but not as something you're going to actually release.
Yeah. Let's clarify this. So like when you're starting out, it's definitely a good idea to try and replicate something that you can see and feel and you know quite well.
Yeah.
So you know, as you're learning, you know how things should react, and
it's a good way of testing out mechanics.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think the way where I was going with this is where people clone the games and stop and just release a version. Usually, dare I say, a more inferior version of an existing game that is doing well in the charts or whatever, or is a classic or something like that. So that's where you basically just completely duplicate it. Yeah,
and you can see hundreds of these on the store. You know, you've only got to search Geometry Dash, and they will all come up, and they all look the same.
Exactly. Yeah. So the trick here is to then build upon those proven mechanics, but don't just clone a game and release it, because generally speaking, it's not going to do very well.
No.
You're not bringing anything to the table. You're not adding anything. You're not twisting it in any way. And generally speaking, as a learning project, it's a great idea. But as a production final release version,
it's a big no.
Don't do it. No. It's rubbish. Okay, so there's number 1. Let's go to number 2.
Number 2, buying stock. Now, there's nothing wrong with buying stock, but if you buy stock and it's, say, not enough for your game and you buy another pack that doesn't quite match up.
Yeah, so we touched on this before. So that is buying stock and mix and matching artwork styles. So this is where you buy a pixely pack and then buy a cartoon pack.
Yeah, and try and mix the two in the same game.
And just put them all into that same pot, and you just end up with a real mismatch of everything, and it looks like
it's not a good look.
No, it's just like hodgepodge together, right? And it's just it never sort of works out well.
But it will look exactly that.
That's right. It just looks confused and made up of scraps, for want of a better phrase.
Scraps.
Yeah, well, maybe it's a bit brutal, but yeah, you know, it's like don't do that. That it's a massive tell. It's a total rookie mistake, and it's easily avoidable.
Yeah, I mean, you know, if you're buying stock and you think the pack's not going to be big enough, then look for something that particular artist has done more of. Yeah,
I mean, I think the best thing to do there is just go back and listen to episode 4 where we covered buying artwork. I think it was episode 4. If not, head over to the website at RisingHighAcademy.com and go to the podcast section there, and you'll be able to find it easily enough. Just hit that in the search box. But yeah, so I think go back to that and listen to what we said on that. But that's basically that. But that is very much a real thing that we see a lot.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's up next?
Number 3, making your game too big and too complicated, especially if you're starting out.
This is it. So again, I think we touched on this in a previous episode. It's just like, I'm going to make the next Grand Theft Auto. No, you're not.
Well, if you're just starting out, you don't know, you have no realisation of how long a project can take.
No, that's right, and how difficult things, and actually how good you're going to get at it. Because let's not forget, this is all about learning and practicing and developing your skills and talent as game designers and developers.
Yeah.
There are many different disciplines here. And
but it's not just making a game either. You've got to do your UI.
Yeah, exactly. It's the whole thing.
You've got the whole process to learn.
There's a lot that goes into it. So don't start small.
Yeah.
Keep your aspirations low when you're first starting out. Take on a small little bite-sized project.
Yeah.
And then develop your skills, and then go ahead and build the next GTA. Excellent.
And you also need to know if game building is for you.
This is
the perfect way to find out.
This is the other thing as well, isn't it? Often you think, I love the idea of building the game, and then actually when you start
you've got
building
to do this
it,
and do that, you've got to upload
you think, actually, this is pretty rubbish, I don't want to do it. And that's okay too. I mean, there's a lot of things that it's really good to get a taste of things and to actually experience it before you know whether you're going to like it or not.
It's like everything else, it comes as a complete process. It's not just making things move on a screen.
And often as well, it can also kill a bit of the passion when you're trying to do it commercially, because you've got to think about all the other sides of it. If you're running your own business and that, it's the biggest passion killer going.
Oh, of course.
But just to put a really happy spin on this early on into the episode, let's all go and kill ourselves now. So let's move on swiftly to number 4.
Number 4 is kind of piggybacking on number 3, really, by making your game characters too big.
Okay, we see this a lot as well. Now, this is where the scale is all out of whack.
Yeah.
I think it's like quite an instinctive thing to make the character quite big in the game, because that's the focus often, that the character is like the big thing in the game. That's what you control.
Yeah, that's it.
But very, very often we see the characters are way too big for the screen. That could be desktop as well as mobile. And of course it makes designing your game way harder. If you get a bigger character,
reduces your whole world size as well.
That's right. You've got less room to move about in.
Yeah.
It generally looks pretty out of whack.
Yeah.
Now, one of the good things here is go and check out Super Mario Run on the App Store. Mario is tiny.
Tiny little character.
Absolutely tiny. And that's a really good lead from. If you're building a game right now, stop what you're doing, go onto the App Store. If you haven't already, download Super Mario Run and take a screenshot of that on your phone, and then take a screenshot of your game with your character in it and compare the sizes.
Yeah.
Now, we're not saying...
I'm sure if you put your character on top of Mario, then you'd be surprised.
Now, of course, you don't have to copy it like for like, but it's a really good leveler to see... just the difference of how you're faring up and how much room your character has to move around within the levels of your game. If you've got like a level-based game or like a platformer, we talk about this a lot. But if you've got like any kind of game really, scale is
the bigger your character, the less scope you've got.
Yeah, I think scale is probably the biggest takeaway from this one. Keep your scaling. It probably goes a little bit smaller than what you'd think, but definitely take your lead from other mobile games.
Yeah, definitely.
And Mario is probably the best example of that. Okay, so what is up next?
What are we on? Number 5, aiming for ultimate perfection, getting lost in all the small stuff.
Yeah, so I'm pretty bad.
You are very bad, yes.
I am a perfectionist at heart. I struggle with this quite a bit. I've had to curtail a lot of stuff that we do because I suffer from this. And this is where you obsess about the tiniest little detail to the point where you spending 4 hours on something that in reality just doesn't matter. Now, there is things in details, which moves on to polish and stuff, but we won't go into that. But this is more like I don't know, spending 6 hours trying to make your flames look that little bit better, or a trail on a character that I can't think of any real super crisp example here, but it's sort of like just over tweaking to the point.
You do over tweak.
Yeah, this is true. But the point is, I now know when to stop and to move ourselves forward. So that doesn't interfere with our deadlines.
It's very easy to go down that road.
Yeah, you can just get lost in maybe spend 20 minutes finding that perfect colour blue. Now, sometimes that's important, but most of the time, it don't really matter.
No.
And it's easily changed down the line or whatever. But that's just like, that's the detail side of things. The overcomplicating stuff, just try and keep it as simple as possible starting out, and just don't sweat over the small stuff, basically. No. Okay, so number 6.
Number 6, your game speed. Now, it can either maybe be too slow or too fast.
Yeah, game speed's a funny one.
It's a bit of a juggling act.
It is. It really depends on the game, as we always say. It all depends on what sort of game you're making. But often, the real struggle here is when you're testing your game, you start to get really good at it.
Yeah.
And then
you think, oh, maybe it's a bit slow, so you speed it up.
That's right. So the problem is not that it was too fast or too slow, it's the fact that you've got better at it. So normally it's too fast, which is the problem, because as you get better at playing your game, you find it easier, so you inherently want to speed it up to make it more challenging, when in fact you've got, 20 hours gameplay experience.
Yeah, and you know each corner and each turn.
And of course you're building it, so you know what's coming.
Yeah, that's right.
Which is often not talked about, is the fact that because you know what's coming, you can, preempt it. So you've got that like sixth sense that your players won't have unless they've done it a few times, obviously. But normally speaking, you know exactly how and how it should be done. You programmed it, or you made it, so you've got to jump right on that bit.
Yeah. And
the players won't know that, and it will make it way too fast and way too difficult overall. So that's a really tricky one to overcome. But just be mindful of that.
It's not easy to get right, is it? I know we've tweaked around with games before, and we've either speeded it up and we've actually
and honestly,
gone back and reversed it.
Yeah, we've got it wrong plenty of times.
Yeah.
And this sort of leads on to the one, I don't know what number we put this at, but this is about getting feedback for your game and not sort of doing it in complete isolation. So what number have I just jumped to there?
You jumped to number 9,
okay.
Getting feedback.
All right, well, let's go to number 9.
Okay.
And that's getting
feedback.
That's getting feedback. So yeah, those two go hand in hand for me.
Yeah. Show people your game early on.
That's right, because that way that might eliminate number whatever it was we were just talking about being too fast. Because if you get feedback from other people, they might just say, yeah, "This is great, but it's like really fast."
I die in 2 seconds.
That's right.
Yeah.
On the flip side, you don't necessarily have to slow it down for those people either. You have to be a little bit careful that you're not trying too much to just because one person said it's too fast.
Yeah, doesn't
necessarily mean it is that game.
It might not be their type of game.
That's the cruncher, isn't it? If they're not sort of a game that they normally play, they might not. If someone is like a die-hard platformer fan, then they're going to be used to these jumping at the right thing.
Yeah, kids. Young kids are going to be used to pace the games.
So if I gave this to like my mum, who like plays match threes and crosswords and stuff,
she'd say, "What happened there?"
Yeah, she'd go, "What is this?"
I just died.
Yeah, that's right. So it's not necessarily too slow or too fast. It might just be that they don't really get it inherently as well. Okay, so now I've just jumbled all the list around.
Thank you.
Let's try and scramble our way back to number whatever it was.
Okay, number 6 was either too slow or too fast, which we just covered. Number 7, project surfing. Try not to project surf.
Okay, so let's define project surfing.
Well, if you're going to start a game and you get halfway through it and you either get fed up with it or you don't know which way to turn with it, you think, oh, well, you know what, I'll ditch that. I'll try something else.
Yeah, so this is...
ends up with a list of kind of half done, quarter done.
That's right.
Fed up with, you know, and you end up with nothing.
That's right. So this is like more kind of like shiny object syndrome, where you
suffer with that too. Yeah.
Oh, I think most people. Thanks a lot. Let's tell everybody all my downsides here. But anyway, so this is where you kind of you're working on a game, and you've got a really good idea for a new game. And you think, right, I've got to make that game now. And then you stop what you're doing and then you move on to the other one. And then what happens is you end up, not just like you said, with one sort of started and one half done. And
nothing launched.
That's rubbish. It's interestingly, I had a fellow build boxer, Sam, who did One Bit Escape, got featured by Apple. Great game. Go and download that from the App Store. One Bit Escape. He said this question to me, and I've just thought of it now. He said it on Twitter. He said, what do you do? Should I finish a project that's got like 2 days to go? Oh, but I've got a killer idea for another one.
Yeah.
What should I do? And I saw that and I thought, dude, come on now, just finish that game. The worst thing about starting out is just jumping around project surfing. Half bits here, half bits there. The end of the day, you got to finish your damn game, and that is the biggest one of all. I don't know if it's in the list, but it should be. It's actually finishing your project and completing the whole process. So keep focused on what you're building right now. This is why we have our sketchbooks.
Yeah.
If you've got that killer idea,
go sketch it, go plan it out.
Go sketch it, go write it, record your emotions that you're feeling when you're thinking about it. And the best part about that is that when you come back to it, if you still feel the same, you know it's a hell yeah, and you're going to go and build that new game.
Well, you already have a head start on your next project.
That's right.
Yeah.
Done.
Not just that, but if you've got several projects and you think, oh, I've got to clear this up, I've got to get some done, and you go back to maybe the first one, you haven't got a clue.
That's right. It takes a little bit of time to get. Yeah, that's
momentum.
It. Yeah, that's the momentum, isn't it? And you what was I doing here?
You're not motivated at all because you can't remember what you were doing in it.
Yeah, I mean, maybe that could happen if you think this brand new idea is better than the one that you're doing. I think that's a very real thing when you think, okay, I kind of like this one. But of course, once you're building games, you get to that point where you get fed up with it.
Yeah, that's
and
true.
The finishing is one of the hardest parts of it. So it's really easy to like deviate off and go, I'll just do that and I'll come back to that when I've got a bit more energy.
That's when we kind of get deadlines put up.
That's right. That's when those deadlines become super.
Because we know we've got the nitty gritty bit to do.
That's right. I mean, the finishing and the polishing is the hardest part.
Yeah.
We always say if you don't hate your game, it's definitely not ready. I've kind of borrowed that from Trey.
It's very true.
But we've said that all along, but he just phrased it better than what I ever did. Yeah. So if you don't hate your game,
but it's weird though, isn't it? When you release a game, you really, really hate it. And then when, sometimes I'll look back and there'll be either a screenshot or a small video that we did for one of our earlier games.
Yeah.
And you sit there and you think, oh.
Yeah, there is that. There is that attachment to it, isn't
it?
Definitely. You just think, I always think, oh, that was quite good, that really.
Yeah.
Because you did that
and then
moment.
I say to you, do you want to go and redo it? Oh, no, you're all right.
No, but that's right, though. I mean, we're not very good at that.
No.
But the bottom line is, it's because we put so much grit to finish the games, and we literally do hate the games by the time we're finished. I certainly do. I don't want to look at it ever again.
No.
And that stays for quite a while for me. I think it's just that whole sort of built up energy that's gone into it.
It's a big build up, for people just starting out. It's nerve wracking.
Yeah, it can be, can't it? There's a lot that goes into it. And
sometimes I think you can go too much down the nerve wracking route rather than you miss the fun of it.
Yeah, but I think the fun of it is really early on. It's so exciting when we start new projects. And then you get through it and you say, oh. And then, of course, there's all the doubts as well. Is this any good? I don't know what I'm building anymore. I can't be bothered. I'm out of ideas and all of that. And that's the real killer part of it all. It's just like keeping yourself on track and finish the damn thing, even if it's not ready. I'd much rather ship a project that wasn't anywhere near ready than letting it to die. Yeah. There's just no point. Anyway, I think we killed that one to death. Another cheery little note there. Hope you're all having a great day. What we got next if we're still going?
I don't know if we've kind of covered this. Number 8, making your game way too difficult or too easy. Yeah. That kind of comes in with the slow or fast.
That kind of has a slightly interchangeable with that one, isn't it?
One has an effect on the other kind of thing.
Yeah, I think we'll skip that.
Okay, number 9, getting feedback. We've kind of covered that.
Yeah, so getting feedback, showing your game early on in the development process. Now, we're big fans of this, showing the game off. We say this, you should do this at the prototype stage.
We've also come across some things that, we finished a game and did our onboarding, not realising.
Oh my goodness! I know what you're talking about.
It was kind of interpreted wrong, and it's not until that person actually says, "Well, I'm."
Okay, so I'm just gonna come out and say, when we launched Dragon Wings, this was a massive project for us. 3 months should have been. It was actually a test project for us that got out of hand, and we ended up releasing it as a full game. It was only ever meant to be released as a training project. Well, not meant to be released. Sorry, it was never meant to be released. We were doing it to train and get ourselves used to some new software, and it just turned. We kind of getting into it, and we just thought, well, we might as well release it.
3 months later.
Yeah, 3 months later, whoosh goes that deadline once again, and we did the onboarding, and I thought, this is sound. We got some early feedback. Pushed out some promo codes and some test flight builds, and one of them was from a YouTuber, and he's come on and he's done the first video, and we're pretty pumped because we got a YouTuber doing our an early access release.
Exciting,
and he comes on and we go into the onboarding, and the screen said tap left to jump left and tap right to jump right. Now, I can't quite remember, but somewhere along the line...
We had
arrows pointing in the wrong direction. So, all the best laid plans, I've got tap left with a pointing right arrow. And this poor dude on YouTube was going, what on earth is this?
I'll tell you, we watched that video and we just went...
man alive.
Oh, no.
What a clanger.
Oh, no.
But that is a real good indication of getting so close to things and not showing anyone.
Yeah.
Now that was luckily that was caught before release, which is another reason for putting it out there, right? That's pretty epic. Yeah. But that was so painful.
And not to just kind of mar our books at all, but that actually happened with Parallels as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a portal in Parallels.
Yeah.
A black portal. So all white was good. So you bounced on all the white.
Yeah.
And another YouTuber again. And we didn't make the portal big enough. And he kind of just bounced over it, thinking it was an enemy.
Yeah, I remember.
We're watching it thinking, no, go through the portal. It's a portal.
Done it again. Yeah,
and he's gaily bounced over it.
I totally forgot about that.
Thinking it was an enemy.
Yeah, but there we go. I rest my face. Right? Don't leave me in charge of the onboarding. That's the rule number 1. Rule number 2 is get your game out early and pick up, because often these things that seem obvious to you are just completely counterintuitive to others.
You just get squirreled so inside.
That's right. You know it so well.
You just think, where's the portal?
Yeah, exactly. What are you doing jumping over it?
Try telling people it's
that's right. And the dude was going, this is way too difficult. There's no save points. And I'm going, you bloody well just jumped over it. What are you doing? But yeah, so that's the critical thing. Get that feedback.
Yeah.
Make sure that you're not an idiot like me, and get some feedback for your game, and pick up any of these snags and fixes like that. Okay, so now I'm going to go on to number, what is it, Gillian?
Number 10.
Number 10.
Trying to run before you can walk. GTA versus Pong.
Yeah. So what did I mean by this? So starting out, we kind of touched on this a little bit before, but start out with a small project.
Yeah.
Make something simple. Get your skills up. I think it is so exciting when you're building games.
And it's a confidence thing as well.
Yeah.
If you try and make something simple work and it works, it gives you
it's so rewarding.
Boost.
Yeah, it's so rewarding.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, we said the GTA versus Pong example. I think that sums it up pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
Just do walk before you can run.
Yeah.
And get your skills up. Don't try and think of this massive project. Just keep everything bite-sized.
Yeah.
And start small, and that will you'll feel much better for doing that.
Yeah, you will. Small steps.
Yeah.
Okay, number 11. Getting too good at and falling in love with your own game.
Okay. Well,
kind of gone.
Yeah, I don't know what.
Really.
This list has gone to pot, isn't it? Basically, it's just everything rolled into one.
That's kind of the same thing. You can get too inside your project. You know each nook and cranny.
Yeah, I think
you know what you've got to do.
Yeah, we've definitely expanded on this before, haven't we? Falling in love with your game is definitely
happens all the time.
It does, and I think I should have worded that different. I think it's falling in love with your idea.
Yeah.
So you can go ahead and be making this wacky new mechanic and you think, this is amazing, it's going to go viral. It's just, oh no, no one's ever seen this before. And it's like, well, there's probably a good reason for that. It's because it's mental. And you don't want to be reinventing the wheel when you're starting
not early
out.
On, no.
There's certainly room for that. There's always room for innovation. But yeah, just try and keep it a little bit more
grounded, I think.
Yeah, I think grounded and more mainstream to make something that people will recognise and can play without getting a manual. All right, what's next?
Number 12, trying to please everyone, not the demographic of the game.
Yeah, so this is where you're trying to build a game and you're trying to please absolutely every demographic on the planet. Now that can be done, and we always say you want to try and build games like that, and Colour Switch is obviously the best example of that, which is really generic. Your nan can play it.
Everybody, young and old.
That's right. But that said, if you're not building casual games like that, and you're building like an FPS or a racing game, you want to make sure that you're building that game specifically for the people who are going to play a racing game.
Yeah.
So you want to make it, fast and handle well and be interesting tracks, and not like a stroll in the park for what my mum wants to play, where she wants to drive a little golf cart.
Beep.
Yeah, exactly. Do you know what I mean? So it's like more to do with if you're doing. It's
kind of like a racing game versus like a parking game.
Right.
Parking games are kind of, I'd play those.
Yeah.
I hate racing games.
Sure, okay.
But that's just me.
But what I mean is you've got to build your game to really get inside what the players like about building that type of game. If let's go with match 3, for instance.
Yeah.
You probably wouldn't want to do a blood and guts match 3. Although that said, that does sound quite interesting. But if I'm heading for a predominantly female market, the Candy Crush market or the
candy, cakes.
Yeah, it's like
gems,
go for the women demographic, then make your game to fit that. Don't try and please the car racing dudes.
It's not going to happen.
It's a mismatch, and just like own the sort of genre you're going for, and really go all out to make it the best.
You want
to
hone in your game as who you imagine is going to be playing it.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
exactly. Okay, let's go to the next one.
I'm not sure about the title of this one. Number 13, feature creep.
Oh yeah.
Adding so many features that it overcomplicates the game and are unnecessary.
Yeah, I like this. Feature creep.
Feature creep.
So this is
Are you
where...
a feature creep?
Yeah, that's not very pleasant. I don't know why I bought
I'm a feature creep.
Not very nice at all. So what I meant by this is where you go, right, I'm going to add guns. And then I'm going to add explosives.
Oh, you're going to have everything.
And then I'm going to have a nuclear bomb. And then I'm going to have a tank. And that tank's going to have a submarine attached to it. And then it's going to have multiplayer. Yeah. And then it's going to be cross-network thing, and I'm running out of things to say, but extra things with wheels, and then more guns, and then it's going to be like 4-mode split screen thing. It's that.
Right.
Don't do that.
Everything in one.
That's right. Cut down on this. Most of that stuff won't matter.
Very confusing.
Keep your eye on the ball and the eye on the goal. What's the core loop all about? And sure, add to that core loop of the game. So you do this, then you die, then you restart. That's your
Maybe
basic core loop.
we need to exaggerate a bit on the core loop.
Well, I just kind of just did. That is people. For the new people. Your core loop is like the actions you do in your game over and over, and then you stop doing that, so you die, and then you repeat it. So for colour switch, because most people might know colour switch, you jump up, you collect, you go through the shapes, and then you either go to the next one or you die, and that repeats. And the more stars you collect, then you can unlock characters and levels and stuff. But that's the core loop.
That kind of expands your loop.
Yeah, you go up, collect the stars, die, do that again. So that's that. Up, die. Up, die. That's the core loop. Now, there might be people going, what is this guy talking about? But essentially, that is the core loop at a real basic fundamental level. Now, you can build on like secondary loops and all of that stuff. Maybe we'll do another episode on that.
Yeah.
It's quite interesting. I mean, the Clash of Clans and that, we probably, I'll tell you what, I'm going to put I have some good examples that we used on a webinar for the core loop. I've done some graphics.
Oh, I remember.
Head over to the show notes page on risinghighacademy.com/65 forgotten 6. Just go to the website and go to the podcast. You can find it. Search for core loop. I've actually got a blog post as well about that, I think. But anyway, we'll put it on the show notes. But essentially, your core loop, you don't want to stray too far from there. Adding stuff on. So Clash of Clans and stuff will be like...
So you add bits into the loop?
Yeah, you build on and around it.
Okay.
So let's give Clash of Clans. This might be a better example. So Clash of Clans, you will gather wood.
Yeah.
Gather stone to build a hut.
Yeah.
And then once you've gathered all that, you can build another hut to give you more people.
Okay.
And you keep repeating this, so you get more people, more houses, and then with more houses you can like then build a castle. Okay. Or whatever, right? Or build walls. And the more walls you build, you can have turrets. And it's those loops, but it all goes around that same thing. Go to the show. I'll explain it better on there. It's quite hard to do because I haven't thought about it properly. But yeah, so feature creep, coming back to that, is where you deviate so far and you're just going to add all this stuff. And it's just going to add tons of time to the project.
Yeah.
And most of the time, it just
and you kind
totally
of end up with a non-game.
That's
it's
right.
Just
it totally
just a hack
loses
and slash of everything.
That's right.
Yeah.
And the temptation to keep adding stuff is insane. And it will you'll never launch because you'll keep so put them in the nice to have.
I think even if you did launch, people would just find it too confusing.
It's too much.
You know what? I can't get my head around that.
That's it. Exactly. It's like, what is this? It's like right. So that's that one. Let's go on to the next one.
Number 14, expecting knockout success with your first game.
Now, we see this, we hear this a lot.
Yeah.
And it's understandable, right? When you're, certainly in the mobile market, we move so fast with so many success stories.
Yeah. That comes back as well to falling in love with your game. You just think, well, it will be a success.
Yeah, maybe. But I think it's really important to remember that most of these knockout successes happen very rarely. There is only a handful of games that have gone from nowhere to superstar unicorn status. Certainly from indies.
Yeah. Definitely from indies.
I'm going to try and I'm looking at my hands trying to count on my fingers here to give some examples, and there's probably loads. So let us know in the comments if we missed them. Let me know what I've missed and shout at me. But I'm going to go Crossy Road, Flappy Bird, Colour Switch, although that's maybe Tiny Wings.
Yeah.
there really isn't that many games that have gone from nothing to the unicorn. Like runaway knockout global smash, right? Now, this isn't the same as the publisher games, which is why I kind of erred on Colour Switch, because that was with a publisher who had a massive expertise in driving traffic, and not so much the Ketchup games, maybe 2048 from original Ketchup. It's these ones that sort of, they explode out of nowhere without user acquisition. So when you first start, you think, I'm going to make the next Flappy Bird. And I guess that's why a lot of people try and clone the game so closely, because they think that's the recipe for success.
Was that kind of a first game though, Flappy Bird?
Flappy Bird,
was that a first?
Yeah. Really? Well, not necessarily. It was Dong Wan. I don't think it was his first game by a long shot, but it came out of nowhere. It went viral because of all the weird...
See, there's not many... I don't think there is anyone that's just launched out of nowhere with their first game.
Yeah, I suppose we are talking about the first game. That's a good shout.
Runaway success.
I mean, Crossy Road, that was like... They had like 4 or 5 features. Apple features before they released that. Hipsterware. So, these... But the point is that these really massive games are very actually few and far between. Certainly the ones that have stayed around. And the other really important thing to notice here is your game doesn't have to go to number 1 to make good revenue.
No,
you can make really solid revenue by not really getting in the charts. We have plenty of games now that are not in the top 500 or whatever, but still bring in a little bit each day, and they do well for us. So that was it. So don't think you're going to make your first game and you're going to be number 1, king of the world, rocking the App Store. Hopefully you will. I wish you nothing but success with that, but don't curb your enthusiasm a little bit.
We'll be the first to congratulate you.
Right, come on and tell us. Come on and tell us, and I'll interview you. And I'll steal whatever you've done. All right, so what we got? We must be getting towards
nearly there.
Now.
Number 15.
What we got?
Ad overload.
Oh my goodness!
Please don't overload.
So we see this a lot. You get an interstitial or skippable video ad after every game over. So I pick up your game. It's really hard. I die. I get an ad.
Oh, yeah, but I've seen some where you don't actually even die and you get an ad.
Is that right?
Yeah, you finish the level and you get an ad.
Oh, I don't like that. I think ads should show when you die, not when you can... So I've completed a level, then I get shown an ad. It's just I'm being penalised for winning.
It's well done, now watch this.
Well, that's it though, isn't it?
Yeah, that's not fair.
Honestly, that is slightly different subject, but the point here is the ad frequency and the ad overload. So no one really likes ad. They're just bearable because we know they're free-to-play games.
They're an indie necessity.
They are.
Unfortunately.
We all got to make money. We'll probably talk about money.
But not on every game over, please.
No, I mean, we do 5 to 7 game overs depending on the difficulty of the game.
Yeah, it depends what kind of game. If it's an arcadey game and you die a lot, then...
You got to chill it out a bit, right? You definitely got to chill it out a bit. Yeah. So we all have to put ads in the game. We'd rather not, but we do for mobile. I think that's okay. The bottom line is just don't overload the ads, and just chill out. Make sure that you're building a game that is free to play with ads. You're not building
an ad network that's got a little picture in it.
That's got a little game somewhere. There's a game in there, right? I think that's the overall takeaway. Yeah, chill out on your ads. 5 to 10, 5 to 7 game overs, depending on. I think that's the rule of thumb for us. All right, so.
Well, the last one was a bit brutal, really.
Okay.
Assuming people will care about your game.
Oh yeah, I thought I'd add this one in. Another cheery note. It's coming down to the most.
So happy today.
So happiest of episodes. Don't think people really care about your game. Because people are busy and they won't. And this is why the sharing and getting people involved is really critical. Everybody, especially if you're on Facebook and these sort of promo groups and stuff, all people do is just post about their game and don't care about anybody else's game. And that's kind of where I was going with this. It's very difficult for people to care about your game, especially in the casual market, because there's such a throwaway market and there's so many of them. It's different for like a Mario game where people fall in love with the characters and it's a different proposition entirely.
Different, yeah.
But yeah, so don't expect people to really care about what you're doing. I think you should try and engage as much as you can, but you don't have a right for people to really care about your game. It's your job to try and engage them and get them interested in it, and that all comes back to sharing all the stuff.
Yeah.
All right, so
that's another quick point. Well, it's not really on the list, but it's a quick kind of point when you have released your game onto the App Store. Don't take reviews too much to heart.
No, that's a good one.
Yeah. We all love our games. We all have a special place for our games. And we've done it ourselves. We've looked at reviews and someone's gone, "It's a load of rubbish."
Yeah, they do that a lot, sadly. Yeah.
But did you have to say that? Couldn't you just delete it?
Yeah, well, the thing is, though, completely going off subject here, the point is that when you first start out, you're eager to get to hear what people say.
Yeah.
And the App Store, especially the iOS Store, the iOS Store is actually harder to get reviews on. Google Play, you get a ton more reviews, but that again is a different subject completely. People will review your game in an enhanced emotional state. They were either so angry they're going to tell you, or they're so happy they feel compelled to tell you. Normally, it's because they hate you and they want to see you suffer as a developer. Usually because you put adverts in your game and they've downloaded your free entertainment product for free, but they have to tell you that because they like it, they think your game's all right, but you've got adverts in it.
Yeah.
And that's not acceptable at all, apparently.
No, you need to go away and make a game with no ads in it, completely free.
That's right.
And
live happily ever after on the dole queue. Homeless. But that's by the by. Let's leave that one for another thing. But yeah, that's a good one. We can add that to 16.4.
Yeah.
Don't take feedback to heart. Keep real about your expectations. And learn to filter out the feedback to be constructive.
Yeah, constructive
opposed
feedback
to just emotional freeloaders.
Yeah,
giving you trolls, basically, just trolling you. All right, Julie, I think we're going to wrap that up. I'm going to ask you to see if we can sort of run down this list as a summary.
Okay.
And see if we can steer this back on track to the 16 points.
Okay, mistakes to avoid. Avoid cloning existing games way too closely. It really doesn't work. And along with that, buying stock and mix and matching your artwork styles. That's not going to work either. It's just going to look what it is, and that's patched together. Making your game too big and too complicated. Don't make your game characters too big. Resize them. Compare them with other games that are akin to the game you're making. See what size characters they've got. Aiming for ultimate perfection. Don't aim for ultimate perfection and getting lost in small stuff. Game speed, either too slow or too fast. Don't project surf. Finish your game and then move on. Making your game way too difficult, too easy. That kind of comes under the slow or too fast, doesn't it? It's kind of the same thing. Getting feedback. Show people your game early on in development. It's good to know what other people think early on so you can make improvements. Trying to run before you can walk. GTA versus Pong. Getting too good and falling in love with your own game. I think we kind of put that into another one, didn't we? Mm-hmm. Trying to please everyone. You're not going to be able to please everyone. Stick with the honing in on the demographic of the game and who your game is aimed at. Don't be a feature creep. Adding too many features that overcomplicates and makes your game a complete mess is so unnecessary. Expecting knockout success with your first game. Don't add overload. I'm not going to read the last one.
And don't assume anyone really cares. Get used to that. No, it's all right. I'll be the bearer of bad news. I don't mind. No, it sounds pretty harsh, but you know, you got to work hard to get people excited about your game. And as a game builder, developer, producer, and maker, you want to try and drum up that buzz. And don't expect just because you've made a game, people are going to think it's amazing. So that just about wraps it up for today. Hope you got some value from that. As always, head over to RisingHighAcademy.com for more information about the show. You can head to number 6 for this week. And check out the Academy and all the good training and resources we have over there. If you are enjoying it, we'd love you to leave a positive review for us and hit that subscribe button. And on that note, we will say goodbye. So, ta-ta from me, and we'll see you next time.
Speak soon. Take care.
You've been listening to the Rising High Extended Tea Break. To learn more about the resources mentioned in today's show, or to find out more about the Rising High Academy, visit RisingHighAcademy.com. That's RisingHighAcademy.com.